Hello, my name is Jenna Blumenfeld. I'm the product content strategist at Stream, and joining me today is Anthony Claudia. He is the head of product at Symbl AI based in Seattle. Anthony, hi.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for hopping on a call with me today.
Thanks for asking me to be here. This is cool.
Yeah. So to start off, I'd love to know what you guys do at Symbl.
Sure. So Symbl is an API platform. We're a horizontal platform for conversational intelligence. So we focus on human-to-human conversations. Unlike, for instance, a chatbot, which is, those technologies are by definition machine-to-human, we're human-to-human. So meetings like this, calls in a call center, sales calls, webinars, telehealth, any human-to-human interaction, we build APIs that let you analyze and extract information from those interactions.
Awesome. So how is conversational AI currently transforming how businesses function?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways, right? We're kind of sick of talking about it, right? But with the whole pandemic, right, the global pandemic, let's just like one factor, one dimension to this all is, online meetings have, the volume of online meetings have grown exponentially. That's putting it lightly, right? And so you have a lot of competition in an already crowded space. You have a lot of people either trying to enhance collaboration and communication products that are already in market, or like every day you have a new, video conferencing platform or chat app spinning up to just kind of grab a piece of this crazy, crazy market. And, today, it's not enough to just have a video feed, right?
Right.
That's threshold, right? So people are looking for differentiators. And that's one piece. That's one way conversational intelligence comes in. We give you the power to, in real time, extract information, not only like real-time transcription or closed captioning, we do that, but in real time, track what's being said, categorize what's being said, extract insights and action items. And so people are looking for products like that to enhance or differentiate their communication offerings. And then on the other side of it, like the consumer side, so to speak, because there's just like a ton of meetings happening, we spend our day online now, we're kind of giving people a way to organize all of that information. So if you record your meetings or you just have email after email, follow-up after follow-up, you can use conversational intelligence to process this information and make sense of it, right? Normalize it. What topics did I discuss today? What follow-ups do I have today for my full day of meetings? So stuff like that.
And so is Symbl a B2B company, or is it B2C, or maybe a little combination of both?
We're B2B. We like to call ourselves direct to developer, right? Our customers range from single shingle developers, guys sitting at startups, 4-person startups, to the biggest of the big developers at large enterprise, Fortune 500 enterprises. And so, the way our tool works, it's, if you're familiar with platforms like Twilio or Stripe or Auth0, you can self-serve on our platform and get started, or you can interact with us kind of in an enterprise channel and kind of get that kind of attention that you're probably expecting if you're spending that kind of money with it.
Awesome. So being founded in 2018, I believe, Symbl is a relatively new organization, but you, Anthony Claudia, have worked in tech for some time, especially in technology that improves communication. I think I saw you worked at Twine and CarrierX and maybe MobileDay. So kind of zooming out a little bit, how have you seen this sector of the tech industry evolve?
Communications in general, or well, first of all, it's become super saturated, right? Like where 10 years ago, there were like a handful of major players. Now there's just so many companies in the space, but the interesting thing is there seems to be room for them, and everybody's kind of specializing in like their own little areas. We can talk about Slack all day versus, Cisco's offerings versus Zoom versus, you name it. But I think just the sheer the number of people playing in the space has been really kind of like the biggest thing that's changed over the years. Other than that, the shift to voice, which is obviously, maybe I'm a little biased, but voice first technologies is transforming this market. And that's kind of why, as you mentioned, I started Twine a few years back, and now why I'm at Symbl is honing in on what I think is a technology that's going to change the future, and it's playing a bigger and bigger role in the communications collaboration space. Systems like Alexa, all the way to what we do at Symbl.
Awesome. So I recently read a statistic that software as a solution businesses represent over $1.7 trillion, which is crazy, with developer-driven software companies offering APIs rapidly growing. So what do you think is behind this like API revolution? Why are APIs and SDKs more important than ever?
Oh man, I think, well, it's true what you're saying, right? Like the API consumption over the last few years has just, gone bananas, right? And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, it's the perceived customizability, the control, it's like perceived security. There's so many reasons, like from, everybody from large enterprises to, again, small shops choose an API. A lot of times the economics are better. I mean, it's cheaper to consume an API. But I think the biggest thing is just the flexibility, right? It's your brand, right? It's your company. And if an API, especially now, because it's changed so much, if an API offers you everything a SaaS product offers you, but your brand stays intact, that's super, super compelling. Like a lot of people, don't realize Uber's built on Twilio, right? Like, Uber's Uber, right? But I mean, the guts are all Twilio, but that's the beauty, right? Like you can build whatever you want and maintain that kind of brand and positioning. So I think that's it. And with the growth of APIs, the customer is also like shifted, and it keeps shifting, which is really interesting, where kind of APIs historically have been the domain of the developer, right? So I mean, it's a technical product, so you have a technical customer. That's completely shifting. The customers is shifted from just a developer for APIs to business people. I mean, and everybody in between, the product manager, et cetera. And with that comes a whole different set of challenges in developing APIs, right? And how you have to think about APIs as a product person or a designer.
For sure. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but using APIs is often more cheaper than building a whole solution and maintaining it by yourself if you're a developer. And my question is, do you think developers are kind of understanding that buy versus build decision a little bit more, and more often it's kind of tipping into the buy as an answer?
Yeah, I think, like, to be honest, I think developers have always understood it. I just think that the API world, if I can just generalize like that, has matured to the point where now other people are getting it too. You know what I mean? And it's like developers like told you so, right? But yeah, I mean, APIs in general. You can look at what's out there today, or just like as a product, have become more mature, easier to use, less to mitigate. So I think developers have always known it's the way to go, but it's easier for businesses to consume that information now too. Right?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd love to ask a couple questions just about your expertise as being head of product at a growing tech company. So what would you say are the 3 most important elements of scaling a successful product management?
Oh, product. So product's one of those weird ones, right? It's like everybody has their own definition, right? Of what product management is, and where it lives in an organization. But like, if I could I'll generalize. I think the most important things, like, and I guess this is your question, like, how do you successfully scale a product practice at a startup, or one, like, I think the most important thing is never, like, as a product practice, right, it falls on you essentially to figure out what to build and why, right? That's your whole, reason for being there, right? As a product. What are you building and why are you building it? So piece 1, like, the golden rule is never be a solution looking for a problem, right? Solve real problems, right? Listen to your customer. Never be a solution looking for a problem. And that brings me to number 2, be allergic to tech debt. Like, just say no to tech debt. Be precious with what you build. That's not to say move slowly or, be overly cautious, but be allergic to tech debt. Be lean and iterate. it's okay to be ugly at first. Just move quickly, but don't take on too much, right? It's the old skateboard, bicycle, car. We've all heard that, you're right, like that theory and like that product. But it's true. I mean, like that's the truth. And so 3, I think, is it's a people skill thing. You as a product person, especially in a chaotic small startup that's rapidly growing and adding people all the time, you've got to be a good people person. And what that means is when you're making these mission critical decisions as a product person, you need to align your stakeholders. So you always need to talk to people, and you got to do your homework, and you need to be able to justify your decisions. But like a big part of product management is just stakeholder alignment. It's getting people on board with your idea. Even if your idea is wrong, you get them on board, you try it, and then you try again if you're wrong, but hopefully you weren't wrong. But I think those are my top 3, I think.
Awesome. Yes, I love that. And you mentioned the core differentiators of product too. So what would you say is like the core differentiator of successful products today? Is it scalability? Is it performance? Is it reliability? Or is it customer support, or maybe not, a combination of all of those things?
I think if we're talking specifically API products,
specifically API, yeah.
I think honestly, and people, the mistake is just because it's an API, it's overlooked. But the intuitiveness of an API, that's like paramount to its success, right? Just like UI, UX, when you're talking about a SaaS product, right? Like you're using your favorite social media app or email client, right? Usability. You can't find the send button. You'll probably go find a new email client. APIs are the same way. I mean, it's a different mode, right, of consuming a product, right? An API endpoint is different than using an email client, but the intuitiveness and like the richness of the API,
right,
yeah, is absolutely paramount. Like it's all those other things that you mentioned are super important, like the customer success, everything, right? But if it's not intuitive and if it's not enjoyable for the developer to use, it's a non-starter, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And then I guess finally, I'm going to bring this back to Symbl. You mentioned what you're currently doing, but what is Symbl's like moonshot goal? What is the future of Symbl?
Man, I think the future. I think we're feeling pretty good about the future. By the way, we want to be the horizontal platform for conversational intelligence, right? Like much like when people think, telephony or they think Twilio, like any kind of programmable communication. We want to be that horizontal platform for everything conversational intelligence. No matter what you're building for, whether you're in telemedicine or you're in a call center or the meeting space, and no matter how complex the problem, we want an intuitive API for any type of human conversation, and we just want to be that place that you go. Immediately you associate Symbl with that type of AI. So that's the big picture. That's the big goal. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it's really exciting to see your growth, and thanks again for answering some of my questions. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Anytime.